On Thursday, the United States passed a grim milestone of 4 million confirmed cases of COVID-19. On that same day, a coalition of more than 150 medical professionals, scientists, nurses, and teachers signed onto a letter encouraging the government to once again shut down. Now, I know that seems like a bleak future for the United States. We saw what happened during the first shutdown, that varied state to state. But overall, every area of this country had some form of shutdown, lockdown, stay-at-home order, whatever it was. Every state had something. And it cost us more than 40 million jobs. A lot of people couldn't, a third of the country couldn't make their rent and mortgage payments. But these orders were not effective enough. Many of them were strictly voluntary. Mask orders and ordinances and stay-at-home ordinances and social distancing ordinances were not actually enforced. They weren't even encouraged in many areas. And what did we see? We saw states say, well, nothing's changing. Let's lift the order after 2-3 weeks. And now we're in the situation that we're in now where the first wave escalated. We're about to reopen schools in this country. Trump's encouraging that. As we're enduring an escalation in this pandemic. And these professionals, these people on the front lines, by the way, they're telling us we can't do this. If we want to get a handle on this thing, if we want to get it under control, we have to shut down. We have to do it again. And it's going to hurt. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be pleasant. But folks, this is what we have to do. And that's not just the 150 plus people who signed on to this letter saying that. I'm also saying that. And everybody watching this needs to be saying that too. And here's the thing. We could have had an effective shutdown. You know how I know that? Because you just look at other countries. Other countries that are getting back to normal. Other countries that don't have to do the social distancing as much anymore because they got things under control. Businesses reopened. They reopened safely. Why? Because they were strict about their shutdown, but most importantly, because they took care of their citizens during the shutdowns. They gave them money. They made sure that if you lost your job, you got more money. And by reopening the economy, those people who lost their jobs, most of them were able to go and get their jobs back. That's the thing about the 40 plus million jobs that were lost. A lot of those people, if we had gotten this thing under control and everything was able to reopen safely, a lot of these people would have just been able to get their jobs back. Because in many instances, the companies laid off these people to reduce their costs. Not all instances. I mean, you can't apply that to every single one of them, but that's what a lot of this was. Just trying to control their own costs so they didn't get screwed. Because why? Because the government didn't want to actually take care of small businesses. They certainly didn't want to take care of individuals. We took care of corporations. We took care of the big billion-dollar industries. They're fine. They're always going to be fine. But the people are the ones who got screwed. They're the ones who couldn't pay their rent. A third of this country couldn't pay their frickin' rent for the last 3 months. And we're about to get it so much worse. You know, what happens to the economy as the death toll keeps climbing? We're over 140,000 now. What happens if it hits 250,000, 500,000, 1 million? What's going to happen to local communities? You know, when even 5% of the population there dies. That may seem like a small number, only 5%, but trust me, for local economies, that is a huge toll that they have to pay. That could be a small business owner that employs 50 people. If they die, their business shuts down. What happens to those 50 people? What happens to the trickle-down effect of it? Right, Republicans? When you talk about trickle-down, what happens when business owners die? What happens when all your employees die? What happens when all their customers die? That's something they never thought about, or at least they never cared about. The people who signed on to this letter are right. A second shutdown is the only thing that is going to protect us at this point. And the reason we have to do a second shutdown is because our elected officials at every level from both parties screwed up this response worse than almost any other country on the planet.